Hello, and welcome to another episode of Memory and Engagement Opportunity for Wellness. I'm your host, Michelle Hobb. I'm a speech language pathologist and the leader for the Meadowlark Special Programs. To start off with, let's review what we worked on last week. We talked about creating a memory space. So I hope that you were able to look at your environment and create a space within your environment to keep all of the things nearby that you need to remember. For example, keys, phone, wallet, or purse. And making this a consistent home for those things that we might often spend a lot of time searching for in our daily activities. You can also put your journal or your list of things like your shopping list or your list of daily activities in this memory space. We also talked about doing something new or something different and how the brain loves to be challenged. An example of this is to do your normal tasks, such as your personal hygiene tasks, using your non-dominant hand. So I also hope that some of you were able to take advantage of this growing opportunity and use your non-dominant hand to perform some daily tasks like brushing or combing hair, brushing your teeth, washing your face. And hopefully, if you've done that throughout the course of the week, that's starting to become a little bit easier, which just again goes to show how much the brain loves challenges and how plastic, if you will, your brain is, in that it has the ability to do new learning. We also talked about using a journal or a log to keep track of your daily activities. You can use this to then go back and kind of quiz yourself as to whether or not you were able to remember things that happened earlier in the day or a couple days earlier. It's a really great way to focus on and pay attention to things that you're doing, but then also work on that short-term memory. And then a more practical, or not practical, but a more kind of structured activity or brain exercise that we talked about last week was to read or watch a TV show or engage in an activity and then write about it. It's really more a matter of reading a book, reading a newspaper article, and then writing about what you read. Or if you would prefer to watch a TV show or listen to a radio show, listen, attend, and then write about what you heard. The reason for this is that it's forcing you to pay more attention. And it all boils down to your brain needs to be able to focus and attend in order to remember. If we can't get to that attention space, we're not going to be able to process it into a short-term memory and thus a long-term memory. So I hope you took advantage of those opportunities this last week. If not, jot these things down and try them out this week. Also, just keep building on these. Another couple things we talked about, which is we'll talk about every week, is to engage in movement multiple times a day. Walking, stretching, gardening, cleaning, all of those types of things. And then, of course, that social connection, being engaged with other human beings is such a valuable thing. And then still, in this time of physical distancing, we really need to make it a conscious decision to maintain that social connection. So what's the purpose of this activity, this memory and engagement opportunity for wellness? Well, as I just talked about, engagement and attending. We're also going to work on some breathing, and then we'll work on some learning, exploring, and remembering today. And I don't know if I'll truly make you laugh, but I hope that you'll at least giggle or smirk at some of my attempts at humor today. So Saturday, May the 2nd was National Fitness Day. That's why I'm wearing my run shirt today, not just trying to be casual, but just to show that National Fitness Day, my favorite form of fitness is to run. So I wanted to kind of share that and maybe hopefully inspire you a little bit with that this week. So this also plays in wonderfully to the Meadowlark Virtual Wellness Olympiad, which starts on Tuesday, May the 5th. So I just want to take this time to encourage you to participate in this Wellness Olympiad. One of the best things that you can do for your brain is to exercise. You've probably heard me say it before, but research tells us time and time again that what's good for the heart is good for the brain. So get up and move. So some of the movement activities in this Wellness Olympiad that you can do are walking and steady yourself classes this week. Those are a couple of the fitness, the movement exercises that you can do for the Olympiad. But I also want to encourage you to pay attention here, because fitness is more than just movement. And the Wellness Olympiad team, including Jeff and Lisa and Bridget and Kathleen, they have all done an amazing job of coming up with things to help you recognize that fitness is a whole body experience. And so there are some mindfulness activities this week for you to participate in as well. So get involved in the Wellness Olympiad. I want you to take this moment to grab some paper and a writing instrument, or you can grab your journal or log that we've been using over the course of the last couple weeks together. We're going to take a walk down memory lane. So our walk down memory lane today is, since we're talking about National Fitness Day, is about fitness. So I want you to take a moment, and we're going to just go down into that long-term memory path and think about some memories of fitness. When I think about fitness, although I love running now, I didn't always love running. And volleyball and softball were my favorite forms of fitness. And so I have these wonderful memories of team and friendship, and that digging the ball that someone spiked right down the line, and I was able to bump it up, or get hit in the face, whichever play it was. I also have a lot of memories of pain, because I was always injuring my ankles. But overall, I want you just to think about, excuse me, some of your fitness memories. As we do that, as you heard me talking there, excuse me, you want to consider things like place. Where do your memories of fitness happen? Playing softball, nothing but the wind, and of course the wind in Kansas. The sights, the sounds, the smells, those feelings and emotions that go along with your memories of fitness. So I want you to really delve down that memory lane. Was there music? What kinds of smells did you have? Sometimes in a team sport, those memories of smells may not be the best. But really think about that fitness memory. Okay? So jot that down and write about it later. So let's move on into our breathing exercises today. As we talked about at the earlier onset of this, we were talking about fitness, and the definition is more than just the body movements. It's also a personal fitness, a mental fitness, if you will. And part of what helps us with that is being able to focus our attention, and breathing exercises is one of our best ways to do that. So check yourself. Make sure that you're sitting up nice and tall. Your legs are about hip width apart. Shoulders are pulled back. In fact, let's just take a second and just kind of roll those shoulders up and back. Feels really good to do that here. Then you're going to work on breathing down deep into your diaphragm. So that's below your rib cage is where we want to feel this. Do not want to see breathing up in here. Those are shallow breaths, and that's not enough to really help you to get into that focused breathing pattern. And so as we breathe in through our nose, and then as we exhale, we're going to exhale through pursed lips. So let's do a few breaths together here. One other thing, I do have my hands spread out like this, and I kind of wrap my thumbs around the back of me. And that allows me to really feel like I'm fully expanding in all directions of that diaphragm, instead of just like pushing, where I might tend to like push on my back a little bit, but it helps me to engage all of the muscles, the whole circumference of that diaphragm there. Okay, so here we go. I'm wrapping around and I'm below my rib cage, and we're going to breathe in through our nose. Breathing in, good. And so what I'm doing is really a 3-to-3 ratio. So I'm breathing in for 3 seconds and out for 3 seconds. You can go ahead and work on this throughout the day as well, or before you need to do something focused and engaged. And you can work on increasing that ratio from 3 seconds in to 6 seconds out. As you're breathing, you're really focusing on that breath and what it feels like to expand that diaphragm, and then really squeezing it out. Just really focus on improving that breathing control and power. Okay, so let's start the rest of our session. We've got our breathing in control. We're feeling nice and relaxed. Excuse me. And now we're going to work on some memory strategies. So one of the things that we do with memory strategies is to practice word finding skills. That's probably one of the chief complaints of people when they talk about what is it that's bothering you with your memory. Remembering words, finding the words you're looking for is often the biggest thing that people complain of. So today we're going to work on naming within categories, and then naming within categories with exclusions. So we'll start big, and then we are going to focus that naming more. So I'm going to give you a few seconds, and I want you on your paper to jot down 10 body parts. Now, before we do that, actually, let's think about again what we did last week when we were working on left to right and top to bottom. It may have actually been a couple weeks ago, where we have a focused and organization pattern for this. So do this and think about it top to bottom, bottom to top, left to right, whatever pattern you want, but find that pattern of organization and keep it throughout our activities today. Okay, so take a few seconds here, jot down 10 body parts. Okay, so you were probably able to come up with 10, maybe more than 10. But if not, then let's look at, okay, what was I doing? Look at your words. Were they in somewhat of a sequence of the body? Or were they, head and toes and shoulders and knees? So look at your pattern, your organization, and see if you were able to be consistent in that. So here are just a few I came up with, just to kind of help again show you that organization that I use. So head, shoulders, chest, waist, elbow, wrist, hand, knuckle, knee, and ankle. Okay, so 10 body parts. I worked from head to ankle. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a few seconds again, and I want you to name 10 body parts that only have 3 letters. Okay, so they can only be made up of 3-letter words. So take a few seconds here. So is that harder? Easier? Process that for just a second. And then let's go through. Did you use your strategy again? So this time I started at the bottom and worked up. Okay. So I wouldn't recommend if you're doing tasks to switch like I did, but I wanted you to see the difference in how we can work this organization component today. So toe, leg, hip, arm, rib, eye, ear, lip, jaw, gum. Okay, so there were a couple other ones, but those are the big ones. Let's move on. Well, I guess I did want to ask you then, so did that seem harder? When we put that exclusion in there, was it more challenging to come up with things that only had 3 letters versus just naming body parts? Typically it is. So when we work on word finding practices, we want to practice both things like that. Okay, so now let's look at a little visual memory exercise. So 2 strategies we can use here. One again is that left to right, top to bottom. The other one that we can work on is associations or relationships. What is something that I can connect in a meaningful semantic way or otherwise that helps me create that relationship for remembering? So I'm going to give you a few seconds to look at these pictures here. These are staying within our component of body parts. And I want you to just process, use associations, use the visual scanning of left to right, top to bottom, and memorize these pictures. Okay, now I'm going to take away those pictures and I want you to think about what pictures were on there. Okay, so I'm going to go through this with the strategy of associations and left to right. So what was in that top left corner? We had the legs, right? And so then my next process is I want to think about the association of what came next because it's often easier to chunk so that I'm only remembering 2 things versus all 6 things at once. So when I think about the association, I think of the legs and the toes were associated, both parts of the lower limbs. Okay, so that's my association and also my left to right. Okay, so then I'm moving on next, and the one in the middle I remember was a thumb or fist. Okay, and then what was the association with that one? Oh, that one, so thumb and fist, it was the hands, right? Which was right below that. Okay, so again, I moved from left to right, but then I was also able to remember that sequence or that association of the hand and the thumb and fist. Okay, and then lastly, what was in that lower left corner? Okay, so that was the ear. So the ear up here on the head. So what was the other part that was with that? It was the mouth, right? Okay, so I used 2 strategies, associations with semantics, and then also I used the left to right to help me get started. Okay, so now we're just going to take a second and I want to actually provide you a distraction. Okay, so on your piece of paper, I just want you to start writing and write from 3 to 18 by 3s. So 3, 6, just write those down. So this is called a visual distraction or an auditory distraction or just a distraction. All right. And now, as you can see, I have a slide that has nothing but blank spaces. They're all in the shapes and in the exact same places that our other pictures were. So take a second and use association, use your left or right strategies, and try to recall all 6 pictures. Go ahead and jot those down. You don't have to draw them now. All right. So how did you do? Were you able to remember all 6? And then how did you remember all 6? All right. So this is something that you can practice at home as well. You can go through and cut out pictures from magazines and then work on remembering them. You can get real objects and put them on a table and then memorize them, then cover them up, walk away, go do a task, and then come back and try to remember what items you placed and where underneath that towel. Okay, so challenging your brain. These are brain exercises that we're doing right here. Okay, now moving on, continuing with some brain exercises, some cognitive stimulation. Challenge your brain. That's what we were just doing with that exercise, challenging your brain. So jot this down. You're going to draw 10 parts of the body. Now, I know when I say the word draw, some of you immediately start to sweat and say, no way, I'm not doing this. They don't have to be pretty pictures. I just want you to draw. So again, that in and of itself is a cognitive stimulation activity to draw. Some of us, that may be the easiest thing in the world to draw body parts. Others of us, not so easy. So this is going to be some of your activities for later, but draw 10 parts of the body. So jot that down. And then I want you to draw the 10 parts of the body that have 3 letters with your non-dominant hand. Okay, so 10 parts of the body with your dominant hand, 10 parts of your body with 3 letters, like the ones we named earlier, with your non-dominant hand. Okay, truly stimulating that brain, working on cognitive challenges and working on building some neuroplasticity. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that challenge. We did several different things today. We did some naming, we did some visual remembering, and now you also have some other cognitive stimulation. So for your homework, again, remembering it's important to find time every day to attend to a task. Keep moving, gardening, walking, marching. This week is supposed to be absolutely beautiful. So get out there and move, enjoy the fresh air. If you're not able to get out, you can march in place, you can do calf raises, you can do stretches and all kinds of wonderful things from a seated position still. I also want you to practice your deep and focused breathing like we did today. Breathing into the diaphragm for 3 and exhaling through pursed lips for 3, or 3 and 6 ratio. Stay connected. You're going to hear me say this every week. Write a letter to a friend, call a family member, maintain that communication. If we don't use it, we lose it. You know that. Make yourself do it. The brain loves to be challenged, so show your brain some love this week. So as always, I like to try to make you laugh or at least giggle. So I thought these were pretty funny. So my top 5 exercises: jumping to conclusions, flying off the handle, carrying things too far, dodging responsibility, and pushing my luck. I think those are pretty good. I think I probably engage in most all of those at least once throughout the week. And then here we have Maxine. And Maxine says, my favorite stretching exercise involves the truth. So be careful with that one, but it's still stretching. And lastly, exercise. I thought you said extra fries. So enjoy your week. Get out there and do your practice physical distancing and stay connected with others. Complete the Wellness Olympiad challenges, and I'll see you next week. Bye.